Chapter 14 of Psychopomp Drive. Written by Janeen Leese-Taylor. Read aloud by Skaya Simaru. Chapter 14 Taking the Zoo. Maka walked up through the busy car park, her dark hair fluttering around her in the cool spring breeze. It had been so long since she had last come up to the surface, and it seemed that much had changed. New technologies, new infrastructures. Everywhere she looked, her memories of the time before led her astray. The mental map she had of the English countryside and its ancient cities had long since been painted over with a brush of retail and social decadence. Long gone were the Roman guard, the warriors and their families, the long boats that took up residence by the aqueducts. In their place, the canals were bustling with tourists, and cell phones were in every hand. Maka licked the last remnants of her meal from her lips. She could already feel the creature's power adding to her own, making her very blood boil with vivacious heat. The humans around her created a discord of wonderful sound, of conversation and cries, of cell phones ringing and horns beeping insistently. She could feel their emotions circling her, like the wind might blow through the leaves on a half-dead tree, and she felt revitalized by what she found. Even in the smallest, most simple minds, there was fear, anger, the perfect emotions to serve as her ignition point, a fuse just waiting for the right flame. The automatic doors parted before her, and she entered the gift shop, narrowing her eyes at the forms of the small children that dove and dashed amongst the toys. Their parents chatted distractedly by the counter, sipping lukewarm coffee from a paper cup. Maka glanced down as she felt eyes on her, and her lips peeled back over her teeth in the semblance of a smile. The child couldn't have been more than 6 years old, dressed in clothing her mother had lovingly selected in pastel shades of pink and yellow. In her arms was a stuffed tiger, its head almost as large as her own. "Why, hello there," Maka greeted, kneeling down to the girl's level. "My, isn't he a lovely fellow?" The girl squeezed the plush animal tightly against her chest. "I like tigers." "Me too," Maka replied. "In fact, I'm friends with the tiger living at this zoo." The girl's eyes widened with wonder. "You are?" she gasped. Maka's smile spread like a virus to her cheekbones and to her dark eyes. "I can introduce you if you'd like." The girl shot a glance towards the woman at the counter. My mum told me not to go off with strangers." "Well, that's silly," Maka remarked, keeping her tone soft and playful. "If you never meet new people, how are you supposed to make new friends?" The child hummed thoughtfully, her small features furrowing as she considered the point. "Okay," she relented, "but we've got to be quick." "I promise we'll be there and back in a flash," the woman answered, reaching out her hand. As the child placed her tiny hand into hers, Maka felt the rush of her magic spreading to the much smaller figure attached to her. To anyone that might have looked in their direction, they would look like little more than shimmering air, a haze of heat or rustling of wind. Walking slowly, she led the young girl out of the gift shop and past the Bembe kitchen, where the smells of barbecue were starting to permeate the air. They passed the elephants and insects, listened to the ruckus of the aviary. In the sunshine, the little girl's hair sparkled like spun gold. Her eyes were full of wonder, and she pointed out all the animals that she recognized, regaling the stranger with what she had learned on her visit. When they finally reached the tiger exhibit, the goddess reached out to brush her fingers across the chain-link fence that served as its protective barrier. The touch of the metal faded away as her magic shot through the connecting strands, the ends curling inward and disintegrating before their eyes, like ash falling away from the end of a cigarette. In the cage beyond, a large shape began to stir, the stripes on its flank just about visible through the shrubs and grasslands. "Tara, this is my friend Dash," Maka introduced as the tiger's face came into view. Its wide yellow eyes dilated like the lens of a camera, taking snapshots of its prey. The girl, Tara, raised her hand and waved. The goddess grinned as she allowed their hands to fall apart, swirling her fingers in the air to summon the whimpering forms of the hollows she had absorbed. She directed them towards her target, and they moved obediently, slinking into the growling mass of fur before them. Dash's face curled up in something like fear, and he lashed out towards the invisible force as the thick black liquid began to settle along his skin, sinking down into the spaces between his stripes.
What's wrong with him?"
Tara asked, and Maka laughed, taking a step back as she began to open the other cages around them, her hollows spreading to all the other animals in sight. "Oh, he's just hungry, that's all," she said. To be continued in Chapter 15.